Hey everyone, how's it going? Hope you all had a great day. And I didn't get too much caught off guard by this movement in the markets. As you can see, we did float a little bit higher. We opened at 637, went up to 638, but interestingly enough, from yesterday's close, that was actually a pretty big move. It doesn't look like a big gap up right here on the chart, but it did move about 5 points, 6 points before it opened up. So that's a 0.78% move. It's not a huge or unusual move, but it is larger. It's not random, and it is larger than what we've seen all week long. So we did end up this week floating a little bit higher. Now that means we're still within this area where we're considering that most likely it's going to chop sideways. So we'll see what happens if and when it gets to the all-time high, whether it rejects or not. And I'm wrong, but right now it still does look like we're probably going to do that. Now, the kind of argument in case against me is that this has been steadily floating upwards, and not necessarily from a close to close perspective, although today's close does end on that up and that high. But you can see that moving averages are creeping upwards as well. We're not really getting separation between that EMA 8 and the EMA 20, so it's not doing it in a rush. But this EMA 8 did officially curve upwards, and so that is a curl upwards where the short-term trend has now reverted to match the long-term trend, and usually that's a bullish sign. So we'll see. We'll see if it has enough energy to break above that all-time high right there. All right. Hey, Tim. Hi, Illinois grain farmer. Omar. Sorry, I'm slurring all my words. I'm really, really worn out after this week we had. Not just, it's not really the markets. It's everything that went on with my family. Hey, Spider Monkey. How's it going? Okay. So I'm glad for the weekend. I need to get a little bit of rest and reset myself. I am super excited about the software though. I think yesterday I gave you guys a preview of the software, the Gamma software that was coming up, and this immediately afterwards the developers gave me an update, and it now is looking like this, so which is a huge change and excellent. So and what they have a lot more screens as well, so it is starting to look really good. I'm really excited about getting this to you guys. This is the SPY. Let me refresh it to see how it looked at the end of the day. Yeah, and you see at the end of the day that Gamma was at that 638 level. So you can see that we did close very close to Gamma, but this shifted up. This was shifting all day long. A lot of times the morning Gamma picture is strong and it sticks for the rest of the day, but this week it has not been. This week it's just been morphing all day long. So if we look at the Telegram channel, let's see what we got over here. And I'll just review today because yesterday we did a review of the rest of the week. So we can see early today, we were looking at 637, 640. 640 had the largest spike, and this kind of ramp up towards 637. And if we look at what the SPY actually did, we opened down here at 633, traded all the way up to about 637. And then we bounced away and then came back to 637, bounced away, came back to 637, and then chopped sideways and went down and up to 637. So that 637 level actually was good all day. And I don't know if I was interpreting that chart correctly. It could have been 637. I'm also not done validating all the numbers from the new software either. So it could be, I need to check and make sure that those numbers are accurate. You can see in the middle of the day, I did update you guys and show you a preview of this, and it was, yeah, 637, 8, 9, 40. Yeah, so this is 637. And so that 637 was there all day, 40, backed off a little bit, but not a huge amount. Let's take a look at this again. No, it definitely looks like 638 at the end of the day. And it looks like the software thought we closed around 638. Yes, it thinks that we closed at 638.05. So I need to see what's going on over there. But in any case, this is how it's being visualized. And maybe my number is wrong. Or maybe, let's see. Let's do a quick little evaluation over here. Let's see where we actually closed on spot. Yeah, we closed. Oh, this is post market. Post market, we're at 638. Okay, that makes a little more sense. Okay, so we ended at 637.18. It did end there, so I don't know about that gamma level either. Maybe that is including the post market information. So I'll have to find out from the developers. But in any case, that 637 did stick all day long, and based on how the shape looked in the morning, it did actually predict a ramp up to 637 and then possibility of moving up to 640. That 640 never materialized. That's what I was saying in the channel all day. That probably wasn't going to materialize. I thought where I was wrong was that I thought that 637 would get bounced. I thought we would bounce from the 637 and go lower and fill this gap a little bit. Instead, what happened is we revisited. It did bounce several times, but it never went all the way down. It just stayed in that region and then kept on chopping back to 637. So it proved to be more of a pin rather than a rejection. So that's where I got that wrong. All right, so we did end this week higher. That is quite a good recovery from the gap down that we saw on last Friday. And things are looking more bullish than they were before. So that estimation that we might just chop in this range is looking less likely to be true, and a little bit more likely that we'll go right out about the previous all-time high. We do need to wait until we actually get there though, before anticipating and trying to trade off of that. So I'd be comfortable with very short-term longs until we get to that all-time high, and then we would reevaluate from there. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. Will we be able to install on TOS? No, unfortunately, it would have to be standalone. It's going to be standalone software. So it's going to be like a website. So you would go and you would log into a website, and then it'll show, sort of just like TradingView. You know, I'm logged into TradingView. It lets me see my charts and all of that. What does it look like for SPX? It's not currently working on indices, unfortunately. So let me see if I'll show you. So if I do SPX, it's not going to load anything. So that's another thing that I need to that we're working on is to get it working on indices. But it does work on every other symbol. So normal stocks like Apple. So we're getting there. We're getting closer and closer. So I'm pretty pleased about the progress. Do developers use my Excel to make the gamma level software? Yeah, they use, well, not the Excel itself, but all of the math and the software behind the Excel. Yeah, they're using that, and they're using my own old Python software to calculate some of it also. It actually has a lot of detail. I'm asking for more calculations and details to be included in there. Where did it go? I lost it. So if I just say I click on Apple over here, and right now it's showing you 0 DTE, but we've got a lot of information. We've got the 0 gamma level, we've got the max pain level, we've got the average volume, we've got how many strikes there are in terms of that have gamma exposure. And we have the ability to kind of zoom in and zoom out a little bit. And then we can see the largest gamma levels. There's going to be a little bit more information attached to this that I've asked for. We've got the net gamma, the individualized split out, call input gamma, and then same split out onto individual strikes. So this is similar to this right here, except no price graph. So you can just see the pure gamma levels, and then across expirations, and then some key areas. So potential resistance, potential supports. So it's coming along. They made a lot of progress since I was surprised by how much progress that they made. They're doing a great job so far. Yeah. Very concerned about how breadth has been shrinking in SPY. Is recovering. RSP, QQ have not moved in a week. MAGS is driving all the gains. Yes. Yes, so that is definitely a concern. And normally that is a cause for pause, a pause and pullback. What could happen though, is, it's not impossible, is that the MAGs either slow down and they go sideways. The more likely one is MAGs slow down and go sideways. So if I go MAGs, so that's a rip upwards and there's a little bit of a gap, parabolic in that EMA 8 you can see. And so there's quite a bit of distance between the price and the EMA 8. So most likely that is going to pull back. But what could happen is that it just chops sideways. And during that chop sideways, the rest of the sectors rise up. Right? So if we have a recovery in the Dow, if we have a recovery in staples and in energies and healthcare and all of that, real estate, while the MAGs pause, that would bring our breath back and maintain the bullishness in the market. If the MAGs come down and then the rest rise up, then most likely that's chop sideways in the markets. And then if the MAGs come down and everything else also comes down, then that's bearish movement, that's pullback in the markets. So what could also happen is that the MAGs slow down their pace of moving up and then everything starts to catch up. That would be the second bullish case. Most likely we're not going to see that particular case, especially given that this is starting to go parabolic. What might happen is we get another day of large movements, or and then a chop sideways, or we start chopping sideways, or that starts to pull back. But another day of large bullishness would not be unheard of, given we're not super far in this parabolic move right here. And then what that would look like is the SPY comes up and it matches or breaks a little bit above the previous all-time high, and then a rejection from there, which is what I was looking at in terms of, hey, we're probably going to chop sideways in this. So the sideways scenario in my mind is still the more likely probability. It's just that the possibility of that not happening and this continuing upwards is higher than it was yesterday. Okay, so both those are fairly likely scenarios for the S&P. Yeah. Do I know the cost of using it? Oh, my software? I have no idea. But we always try to make things affordable. We're not here to, gouge you guys. We're here to help you guys make money. So whatever it comes out to be, it'll be fairly reasonable. I can tell you it's not cheap to develop the software or to support it with the data though. So it'll be something appropriate and something affordable. We don't need TradingView anymore. Okay, well, it doesn't contain everything that TradingView does. Like you can't create, for example, all your custom indicators or all my custom indicators. We don't have that. What happened to? I just noticed I don't have Oh, my ATR stuff. There we go. That's back. Okay. Score. Yeah. So I don't have the ability to support all of the stuff that TradingView does. I don't know if you use that stuff, but for me, TradingView will still be useful. You just received the alert for MPP. You just received it like at 4:46 p.m. Because I sent that out at a little after 2-ish p.m., 2:30 p.m. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely check with the team and see what's going on over there. I don't, I'm content provider, so I'm a face that you guys see, and I'm a market expert, but the stuff with the systems, I don't have control over that. Of course, I do. I can say something and tell them, hey, we got to work on this, but I don't have direct control over this. So I will check with them though and see what's going on and see why there's such a massive delay. All right, but thanks for letting me know. All right. Hi, Kay. Your Gamma program involves something more now, just asking. I don't understand your question, Chester. If you could ask it another way. My Gamma program evolve into something more. My existing Gamma program, the Gamma Pockets, well, I can tell you it's going to be way easier to find opportunities for Gamma Pockets, and we'll be more accurate for sure. Do I think Maverick will ever be web-based? There's no need. It runs off of TradingView and Thinkorswim, right? Maverick, right here. Maverick, it's already, so in a way, it already is web-based. It just sits on top of TradingView or Thinkorswim. Yeah, so I don't think there's a need to create individual software for it. Yeah. Thank you, Omar. Thanks for letting me know. No, and thank you, Vladimir. I'll definitely talk to them. And you also, Rob. Thank you. I definitely will have a conversation. Okay. So I'm pretty excited about the new software that's coming out. I will show you tons of ways to use it. Now that we have that tool and that's so fast and that we can visualize things in different ways than I was able to visualize it with my own software, there's going to be a lot of great opportunities. So yesterday we were showing you, for example, what was it, McDonald's? Did we show you Tesla as well? No, I did that in Profit Panel. So there's a lot of cool ways that we can use this, and not just, hey, let's go long, let's go short. There's even sideways and spread opportunities that we can be found using that. So where did I lose my? Here we go. Oh, that's not right. I did lose my Gamma software. This one. So, for example, yesterday when I was showing on Profit Panel, someone asked me about Tesla. I said, there was a split. Now it's different. There was a split between, there's a large Gamma below here and a large Gamma. This is the nearest expiration though. The software doesn't yet, it will be able to change expirations. Oh no, maybe they already did it. 3:30, all. Oh, it doesn't go back when I go to all. 8:17. Okay, so for the next week, what we see in Tesla is that, yeah, there's a call ladder going up to 350. There's a call, a huge pocket right at 330, where we are right now. And so if they can get up above 330, this is going to be probably a little bit sticky. But if it can move above 330, then it gets into this gamma structure that supports it moving higher and higher until 350. So there's all sorts of things that we can do with that information. So we could say, okay, well, let's just assume it can break above and then go to 350. Then we would just buy a call and go and ride it until 350. Or we say, hey, that 330 could act as a little bit of resistance. It could be sticky. So it might be a little tough for it to go up, but if it does go, then it'll go. And then looks like it might have a tiny bit of support down here at 325. And so I could do a debit spread, 325, but selling the 325, buying the 320. I don't know. I think Tesla goes in $2.50 strike increments. So I could sell the 322 and a half, or buy the 322 half or the 320. And then make myself a nice little debit spread right there. So if I do that, let's see. We do option strat. Let's see what that would look like. Again, this is August 14th, right? So if I just do a 1 week trade to August 14th on Tesla, and I say I want it at 325 and 322 and a half, then that is that's a $95 profit potential for a $155 potential loss. That's about a 65%. 155, yeah, 61% gain possibility. Okay, and my gamma structure suggests that we won't. It'll be difficult for it to get below 325. And so where they're telling me there's a 61% chance of profit, that's what the market maker will think, and that's what they're pricing out. And we think that actually there's a much higher possibility of that, because number one, 330 should be really sticky. And then if it does go, and it's more likely to go up, and if it doesn't, then it should get caught by this gamma pocket at 325. Okay, so that's one way that we can gain an edge and start to create trades using this. And I wanted to see if there was one where we could potentially do a non-directional trade. So let's see what gold looks like. Okay, not super strong case, but actually not too bad. Right here, I've got negative gamma, and I've got positive gamma right here, okay? So basically what I'm seeing is that it's gonna have trouble. It could get sucked down here, but this will provide strong support, and this would provide strong resistance. So we've got these labeled backwards. That's labeled support, and that's labeled resistance. It should be labeled the other way around. I'll tell the developers. So this, and not much gamma right here. So it's kind of free to move up and down within this range. And so we could create an iron condor 315, 310 on gold. And if you notice, what did we do on, oh, that didn't work. Where did, when we talked earlier about gold last Friday, and I suggested a iron condor on that, and I told you, was it Friday? Gosh, my days are completely messed up now. We were talking about the equal move ratio, and I taught you guys about that. And so if we look at gold, you can see that right here, we're right in the middle of our range. So on the weekend, the market maker obviously messed around with the bid-ask spreads, because earlier today this was at over 20% during the market. And so when they widen out the bid-ask spread, it just kind of destroys everything, and it makes this curve look a little weird. But we are well within our max profit zone. Right? And where did we wrap this thing? We wrapped it at 306, 317. That's pretty close to 310, 315 that our gamma suggests. So our gamma is suggesting that this trade is even safer than what we thought it would be using our equal move ratio. So it suggests that we could be as tight as 305 and 315, and that we would be we'd be able to capture even more premium, which is weird. 315, 315. Okay. So 312.40, 313. Okay, yeah, this is giving us aftermarket prices. That's just why I just need to. Yeah, are you seeing aftermarket prices? Okay. Yeah, you see we're well inside that middle range. I keep hearing other guys saying gold is so bullish. It's so bullish. And I think I've heard like a couple of our guys, maybe Roger, maybe Jeff, maybe I don't remember. A couple of our guys, I've heard them say gold is bullish, gold is bullish. And I keep looking at this like it's barely moved. It was down 0.02% today. Why is it bullish today? I didn't understand what those guys were talking about. To me, yeah, it is obviously a little bit trending upwards, but it is, stuck within this range right here. And that's the same thing as the S&P 500. So here, yeah, we have our moving averages. They are separating. They are kind of moving up. But if I look at this close versus this close, it didn't really move that much. This close versus this close didn't really move that much. Here we had a little bit of a move yesterday, and then today we just chopped sideways again. So that's not like anything that's in a rush to go higher. It is just sort of floating higher and then maybe a little bit of chopping sideways. And then we'll see if that gamma pocket right there proves resistance. Okay, and then I wonder if maybe I can make it a little bit more obvious. Okay, yeah, so we got a little gamma pocket right there as resistance. All right. Okay, but of course gamma exposure could change from day to day, but right now there's resistance right there. Yeah. Okay, so I lost you guys. Where are you? Do you have a gamma payout version to run on TradingView? No, unfortunately, we can't get gamma pockets on Thinker or TradingView because TradingView doesn't have any options data, right? So there's no options table, there's no, right? And gamma is a options phenomena. And so we can't get these levels on automatically onto TradingView. Yeah. Sorry, my mind is still very foggy. I apologize. Can I explain why SPX trade paid 360 at the end of the day and received 180? You received 180. I would say Omar. Okay, so let's model out what Omar is asking. If we go to SPX, you only have a $5 spread, so the max value should be 500. So 500 minus your 360 should be 140. So I guess that's probably where the confusion is. And when you say you received 140, you didn't close out the trade? It's sitting there and it's telling you have 180 in P&L. If that's the case, I would wait until the cash actually settles because broker or P&Ls are wrong all the time. Okay, so you bought 63.95. You bought 63.95. You sold. All right, well, you sold. Was it you 63.95 call? But put. And you sold 63.95 put. You bought the 6,400 put. So I need to delete the calls. Okay, so bearish. And then we ended at, is that right? 63.89.45. Closed at 63.89, yep, 45, 44. So you would be in full profit right here. If you bought it for 360, then your gain would be, you know, it would be 140. Okay, so your max profit is 140. If you're looking at your P&L and it says 180, it's just an inaccurate report by your broker because there's probably a little bit of a bid-ask spread at the end of the day. So if we go SPX and we look at the August 8th, and so this is what I tell my members all the time is like, you cannot trust the mark, you cannot trust the mid, and you cannot trust the P&L numbers on your broker's screen because they are wrong, especially in a spread. They are more likely to be wrong because the market maker jacks around with that bid-ask spread. Okay, those are not real prices. Those are false prices, and we do not evaluate on, especially when I'm in a spread. I never go by the reported P&L on my broker's screen. I always go by where we are at location in relative to the max gain or max loss. Always. You'll never see me say, oh, we're up 20% so far in our spread. No, I never do that. I don't care what this says because this is based on before the expiration, it's all based on what the market maker says, and the market maker has that bid-ask spread. And if it's really wide, then it's a bad number. I will use it if it's a tight number, a really tight number. But normally, a lot of times it's not. So even on SPX, you can get a bid-ask spread. SPY, way less likely, but SPX can be a little bit wide on the bid-ask spread. So let's check out 63.95. Right there, you see that? It's $1.30 wide. That's really wide. Here, 6,400 is 90 cents wide. So that's why you're getting that inaccurate report on your P&L. And when you settle, when it actually settles in cash this weekend, either later today or tomorrow morning, then you will have ended up with $140, not 180. Okay. So thanks for bringing that up. That is another reminder that even on SPX, you cannot trust that mark. You cannot trust that mid price. It is a false price. It does not guarantee any sort of transaction right there. Okay, it's an assumption that your brokerage software makes and that therefore we make on what the price could be, but it's not the case at all. Okay, hopefully that made sense to you. Hi Nestor, do you already have Gamma Pocket payout version to run on TradingView? Oh, I already answered that. Hey Vladimir, my butterfly showed 100% gain after market close because of the, yeah. So especially on these XLI, these XLI spreads or the sector funds, the market maker loves to make huge bid-ask spreads. So over here, yeah, this is what he's talking about. This XLI looks like it's made 135%, but if we go in here, you'll see that it's complete BS because they've gone and jacked. So during the day, this thing is only 10 cents wide. And this is like 5 cents wide, and this is like 2 or 3 cents wide. Look at how wide it is now after markets. 0.480. That's ridiculous. $0.3. And basically, they're not making a market, but they are legally bound to make a market. And so they just put ridiculous prices there. And then over here, look at that. That's almost $4 wide as well. So they just jack around. They're messing around with those bid-ask spreads over the weekend, and it is a way for them to reduce their risk. Okay, some junior guy opens the market for them in the morning, and he messes up. It's way less likely that he can say, "Oh well, I was just using the market that we had on Friday, and I didn't adjust it in time, whatever. We don't get, so this basically forces them to actually evaluate what their bid and what their ask is going to be when it opens in the morning. And so this is one reason why they do that. And it prevents accidents on their end from happening and from them from losing money. But a lot of market makers do it. You'll see in even big names. Microsoft guy didn't do it, but you'll see it. You see it in big names as well. Yeah, Apple didn't do it either. But anyways, I see it all the time in those sector funds, but I see it even in really big names. And obviously the SPX, I wouldn't necessarily say that that's what happened on SPX. It could just be SPX, especially when we're looking at these big, huge dollar prices on the strikes, then naturally the bid-ask spread is wider than you would expect if we're looking at only at $100 or $200 strikes. These are $6,000 strikes. Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a bid-ask spread right there, okay? Even during normal market hours. Okay. All right, yeah, you're welcome, Omar. I'm glad you're understanding it. Okay, so let's take a look at where money is, although we kind of already know. MAGs and SMH, right? The SMH has got a little bit of life back into it. It did look very shaky, went below the EMA 20. It is very, very gappy and lots of tails. Like this, it was smooth over here, and then it started to get all weird and choppy over here. So we are getting these gaps and tails and wicks. So it's making it a little bit harder to trade. But overall, it did make it back above the EMA 8, and it did weakly confirm, not strongly, weakly as in W-E-A-K, weak. There's a weak confirmation of that bounce rather than a strong confirmation of that bounce. Strong confirmation would be a close above yesterday's high. We didn't do that, but we do have the green bar. We did close above yesterday's open and obviously yesterday's close as well. So it's a weak confirmation of bullish directional movement on SMH. It could be caught, if the SPY is caught in this sideways channel, then yeah, SMH is going to be it as well. And then if we look at the MAGs, again, so this did not only strongly confirm, it closed above this high right here. So MAGs actually made an all-time high. And so that is a bullish case. But this is a little far from the moving averages. So we could pull back, but it would not, we're not so far away that we couldn't get another day or maybe even 2 days of movement upwards. And so that again is a bullish case for the SPY very temporarily. So this makes it fairly likely that we're actually going to test the previous all-time high, maybe in the next 1 or 2 sessions. Okay, so that, but then what happens from there? Are we going to break out? I don't know. We'll have to evaluate and see from there. Can I recommend a laptop for trading while you travel? It depends on how much you're running. So I run a lot. I run Thinkorswim. I run Tasty Trade. Sometimes I run Interactive Brokers also. I run Tradier. Then I've got my Trading View. I've got my own personal software. I've got all these services. I got a million tabs open because I'm looking at a lot of different ways of looking at the markets. And so all of that is sucking data. And that you would need a good processor and a good graphics processor for that, and obviously a good data connection. So I don't know how much you run. I don't know how many screens you want to run off of your laptop. If you're just saying I only want the one monitor, then that's a different story. So everyone's needs is going to be different on that trading laptop. For me, I got the most powerful gaming laptop that I could get, and So it had very powerful GPU. Actually, the technical specs on that gaming laptop are actually better than my desktop. So I paid, I don't even remember, several thousand, many thousands of dollars for that gaming laptop. But it is a beast. It is big. It is heavy. It is loud. The fans are constantly trying to cool it. So, but for me, I want that power because I want the to be able to run all that data and the visualization without any delays. I want it to be just as good as when I'm not traveling. And I do bring three monitors with me when I travel. I think you guys have seen. I've posted on my Telegram before when I'm traveling what that looks like. Let me see. So if you're like me, then yeah, you would want that really crazy. It's been a while since I've traveled. Let me see. Where was I? Where was the last travel? Was it Vegas? Chicago? When was the last time I traveled? Let's see. Setup. Monitor. Setup. It might be tough for me to find it, but maybe I'll show up another picture of it when I find it over the weekend. But yeah, all of those things are considerations. If you're looking for like the minimum, so I just want one monitor, I want it to be nice and light, then what I would suggest is at the very least some equivalent of, oh, similar to me, gotcha. I have an, it's a Republic of Gaming by, I believe by Asus, a Republic of Gamers, Asus. It's called the ROG Strix, STRIX. I believe Asus is behind them, but I could be wrong. But it's a Republic of Gaming. Does it come with its own nuclear power plant? It should. It should. It should need the mini battery version to come along with it. I remember carrying a massive Alienware laptop around. Say, yeah. Your shoulder still hasn't forgiven you. Yeah, I would carry around in a backpack so I can use my full back, especially if I'm carrying around 3 monitors, microphone, right? Everything else that I've got, a couple of lights, so I don't look all weird when I'm streaming. Yeah, the power brick is actually huge. That's true. Yeah, it's pretty heavy itself. It's a pretty big power brick right there, and that's my right there. So that's my iPhone by comparison. Okay, so it's pretty big. It's definitely not for those who have portability in mind. Okay, so that's the overall outlook. I would say is that we're just waiting for this to flow upwards to the all-time high over here, and then we would reevaluate from there. And the most likely path to this, again, I gave 2 main scenarios. Mags keeps on going up, in which case we're super overstretched and we'd be due for another pullback. Or the mags pause and chop sideways, and then the rest of the sectors rise up and catch up, in which case then we'll probably just chop side or move up very slowly or chop sideways and then continue moving upwards. So this could go up, sideways up, or it could go up, pull back, and then go up. So those are the 2 likely scenarios that we're looking at right here. And then of course, my main scenario is still at the moment is still that the SPY is going to chop sideways, but that is again becoming less likely after today. So, Asus. Did I already answer that? I think it's like Republic of Gaming. It may be a branch of Asus, but I don't know if I'm making that up or if I'm remembering correctly. Okay. All right, so I'll take a quick look at the sectors that we got. Lithium, EV, metals. Yeah, it's a lot of the same stuff. Metals, lithium, EV, metals, lithium, nuclear, EV, metals, nuclear, lithium, EV. All right, so you're starting to see the same theme in nuclear, metals, nuclear. Okay, so looking like EV and lithium might be heating up a little bit. Oh yeah, that's starting to go a little parabolic. So I'd be concerned parabolic into the previous all-time high. So I'll just watch this for now, and then lithium, parabolic, but it's similar, very similar. So I'd be watching for a pullback for entry into cars and lithium. So I'll just put that on the watch list as a sector. And then as we get near a more interesting area, then we will evaluate individual stocks. You got a Republic of Gaming, right? Yeah, I think mine's about a year or so old at this point. I generally try to use them for as long as I can. Okay, so I think we have a good idea of what the overall markets are looking like for the next week. We're just going to expect that to float higher to the all-time high. And then from there, we will see, again, either chop sideways and move up, or I don't think we'll necessarily jump out and then pull back. So either that's kind of off the table, and then at least for now, and then the other scenario is that we pull back from that all-time high and stay inside this channel. All right. Asus Republic of Gaming laptop, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll end it right there. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'm going to try to get some rest and then have a little bit more clearer head on Monday. All right. So have a wonderful weekend, you guys, and I will see you all later. All right. Bye, everyone.